for joining us this morning. We've come this morning to share with you in reference to the young 19-year-old kid, and I call him a kid, 19 years old, who was shot and killed by a state police officer of the state of Connecticut. I do say we are outraged about it based on what we are hearing and based on what took place on the other evening. We know that it started in Norwalk. We know that Norwalk was chasing this individual. Norwalk calls off the chase because they have a 2019 chase policy, but they alerted the state police department, and they began to follow him or to chase him. They say that he hit a car, got off the exit in West Haven. Getting off the exit in West Haven, he was barricaded, blocked in by state troopers. What we are hearing is the fact that he had no gun. They found a knife in the car. They opened the passenger door. They tased him. And when they saw that the tase was not working, then they began to shoot him. And they shot him 4 times from what we are hearing, and that this individual never got out of the car. He was shot inside the car. What we are asking for, and the family is with us this morning, what we're asking for is that the U.S. attorney will investigate this incident instead of a state attorney who will get his information from another state agency. There are 3 police departments involved in this: Norwalk, West Haven, and New Haven. You have not heard any conversation about New Haven, not much about West Haven, and then you have the state. We are looking at this as a civil rights violation, and that this state cannot investigate a civil right action when they are a part of what has taken place. We are appalled at it. We are upset about it. How do you shoot an individual 4 times? No gun, find a knife. Where are we? Where are we when it comes to young African American men who have contact with white police officers who feel as though they are being threatened with no movement? Yes, this young man, descendants and family, is from Africa. Who is to say that he understood what the police officer was saying to him? And we don't know what he was saying. And so we mourn with this family on this day, and we're asking the governor to turn this over to the U.S. attorney. And we believe and feel as though this is a civil rights violation. How can you police yourself? How can Norwalk and West Haven and New Haven and even the state police themselves? And when you have a state attorney from New London, when you have white officers from Norwalk, West Haven, New Haven, and here is a young black kid killed, how do we defend that? What are we to do as a community? How are we to act? And this is not that we are acting unseemly. We're reacting to what has happened to another black man, a young person in this state. We're meeting with the commissioner on Monday morning, hoping that he has some answers. They have 96 hours to put out the dash cam, the video, and we don't even know where the video started. Did it start when they first started chasing him? Did they have their video cameras on during the shooting? Officer, 4 years on the force. And look what has happened. And I know people say, well, it's a tragic that the officer did it, but it's more of a tragic that this young man is dead, killed by virtue of a movement. And so we're going to be asking the legislators to look into how police officers are trained. And look where the training comes from. And so this is where we are today. The family is here with us. The mother is on her way back from Africa now to join her family. What pain we are having for her as she lands at JFK. Family picks her up to come home and bury her child. The whole state ought to be upset. And here people got to get their story together now. And you asked us to trust the police? And when the police don't trust us? And it could have been any of our child or children, and it even could have been us. His uncle and his brother will come, and they will share more about their nephew, about their brother, and give some more details that you might not hear.
Hi. Hello. My name is Tahir Muhammad, and I'm Mubarak's uncle. Mubarak has a mental health issues. Norwalk cops knew of him. West Haven cops knew of him. New Haven cops are aware of this, and he left the house about 2 days ago. And cops came to the house, and his brother told him that he was concerned about him, that he's missing, basically. So New Haven cops knew that we unofficially filed a missing report. And the very next day, he was killed. So all the family wants is, we want some answers. That's all we want. We want answers. Because they're not telling us enough. We want answers. He was in the car. He was shot sitting down in the car. That doesn't make sense to us. So we want some answers. That's it. That's what we want.
I want you to say that the New Haven Police Department called you.
So he left the house Tuesday around 3 p.m.-ish, and I was really concerned. I was calling him. I was telling him to come back to the house. He never came back. I thought he would, he would decompress for a little bit, come back later. He never came back, so I was sleeping. I hear banging at the door approximately 1 a.m.-ish. This is Wednesday morning now. And I woke up, I'm scared. I'm thinking it's my brother, so I didn't know what to feel at the moment. So I opened my window, I screamed out the window, come to find out it's 3 state officers. So I let the state officers in the house, and they delivered this tragedy to me, telling me that my brother was shot and killed. And yeah, it's just I don't know I don't know how to feel at this moment. I just feel like there's definitely injustice. Something's got to give, man. This can't keep happening, man. This can't keep happening.
You also want to say that in filing a missing report, the New Haven Police Department came to your house. Will you explain that to us?
Wednesday morning, an officer came to my house inquiring on my brother because I was on the when I called that morning. I was concerned. I was like, I received 7 missed calls, 4 a.m. ish. Why did I receive 7 calls
From New Haven Police
from New Haven Police Department? And she was like, oh, she wasn't aware. She wasn't aware. She checked in the record. She wasn't aware. Well, I'll say I'm really concerned because my brother has schizophrenia. And if you guys check in the records, you would see that Mubarak Suleiman has had this happen before. It's not something new. It's not a new issue. It was, you guys are well aware. So then she was like, do you want to file a missing report? I'm like, something has happened. So she told the dispatcher to come to the house. The dispatcher came to the house. I explained to him what happened. So in the midst of that, he went back to his car. He called my brother and said, your brother is concerned about your whereabouts. You are not in trouble, but you need to come back to the house so we can find out what's going on. My brother hung up on him, and then my brother just hung up on him. So the officer came back to the house. He was like, I just spoke to your brother briefly, and he pretty much just banged on me. He didn't even give me a chance. So just let me know if he comes to the house. But right now, there's nothing you can do right now. I'll contact, he said, I'll put it in a report. He left me his name and his information. He said, if your brother comes home, just try to decompress the situation, give us a call. And I come to find out, I didn't find out until 1 a.m. that my brother was killed. And my brother was killed at 5 p.m. So I really don't know what to feel. I can't believe it. It still doesn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real.
Sir, can we have your name, please?
My name is Saeed Suleiman. I'm his brother, his eldest brother. And we lost a brother, a sibling of 5.
And one of the things I would like to add was is they came to the house at 1 a.m. to tell my nephew, his brother, that his brother was killed. He had to, they show a picture, right? He had to identify him to a picture. And he said, yes, that's my brother. He lives in this house. So they told him he was shot and killed. All right. So he called me. I live in New York. I came to the house at 2 a.m. I called the hospital. They said the body's at the Yale Hospital. So whenever Mubarak, when he has his episode, we take him to Yale Hospital. They have his record there. When I called the hospital and I told them about the shooting, they say, yes, we have someone here, but he's unidentified. If a person is unidentified, how did you find his house? How did you come to his house? How did you know it was him? And you came to his house. And they said he's at the medical examiner's office. I called the medical examiner's office, and they told me, yes, they have a body here, but his name unidentified. But they've already come to the house and announced his death to us, but it's unidentified. That doesn't make any sense. So you knew him. You knew him. But you took him to the hospital and said he doesn't have ID on him, so he's unidentified. So, like I said, all we want is we want some answers. Thank you.
Listen, if my dog get killed in the street, they call me and ask me to come and identify my dog. Here's a human being that got killed. And nobody from the state had the decency enough to ask them to come to the local hospital to identify their loved one. Where does this happen at? There's always identification. And they did not just ship him overnight to the medical examiner. I'm almost sure he stayed in New Haven, at Yale New Haven Hospital, the rest of the night. We all want answers. And we want clear answers. And we don't want answers from the state. We want answers from the U.S. Attorney, because we feel as though this is definitely civil rights.
I just want to be able to say that it's a major concern, again, for our community, the black community. Whenever there is one of our young people shot, we all have been shot. Yeah. We've been hurt for a long time behind hearing that one of our young men, women, shot by a white officer, goes to the hearts of our community, and it's really deep. The question I have is that Norwalk is 45 minutes away from West Haven, just about. The question is, if something happened in Norwalk and they knew this young man, a black young man at that, then 45 minutes later they block off an exit where the streets where he's able to come off that exit. They knew who he was, and they blocked him off. What happens to get out the car?
Right.
What happens to raise your hands?
Right.
What happens to get on the ground?
Right.
What happens to all these here, calls that have to be made before you feel that someone is in threat, someone is in danger? And if it was at nighttime, it gave them a reason to stay distant away from the car before they even approached the car.
Yes.
But if they approached the car and actually opened up the car door and tased him, they knew again that he was a black man that was tasing. Yeah. And then they shoot him 4 times, and then you say he has a knife in the car? So these are the kind of things that, that hurts us.
Yeah.
And that's where we're drawing back at these press conferences again and again and again about our people being gunned down. This was assassination. They didn't have to kill that boy. They didn't have to do that. His skin color, they seen that, said they figured that, well, his skin color is a black, pigmentation, we can shoot him. So we're hurt today, and we want answers, and we don't want it done by, the local state. As Reverend Kimmer has already said, this has to go to a higher level. And so we mourn with the family. We're here with them today, and we will continue to be whatever we can do in their behalf.
Listen, there was another person that was in the crossfire, and we don't even know that person's name. But our prayers go out to that family also. It's just unfounded.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this. And you're asking us to, wait until we do our investigation. Well, we started our investigation. That's why we're here today. We've given you more than what the state has already given you on what has transpired. There are 4 law enforcement cities that involve North Haven, Norwalk, West Haven, New Haven, the state. Will there be any justice? Or will it just be us? Any questions?
And to the young man's family, could you tell us a bit about Mubarak and anything, just about him as a nephew, as a brother?
Okay.
My brother was only 19. His birthday is June 24th, so he was just about to check in on his 20th birthday, but he was in his 2nd year at Gateway Community College. He recently graduated from Notre Dame Fairfield. So it was a really bright student. Yeah, he has his ups and downs, but he still managed to pull through Notre Dame with about a 3.5 GPA. He was working his way towards attending Roger Williams, but being with his mental issue and the schizophrenia, we didn't feel he was quite ready yet. So we thought he'd take the community college route, so he can prove himself first, and then we let him out. So it's very unfortunate that my brother never even got to experience that college experience, because that's all my brother ever wanted to do was go to college. You know what I'm saying? He loved.
What
He loved playing basketball. He loved lacrosse. That's all he wanted to do, was to be a great basketball player. He's the type of person that just wants to see everybody smile. He wants to put a smile on everyone's face. Very outgoing, very loving. So, for this situation to be mishandled like this is very unfair. You know what I'm saying? It's very unfair. It's very unfair. So, that's all I. Excuse me.
Reverend Kimber, can you address what state police said yesterday, which was that they only pursue people that either have committed or are almost certain to commit a dangerous crime, a violent crime, one. And two, when they got off the highway, they said he displayed a weapon, which was later determined to be a knife, and they did ask him to get out of the vehicle. Respond to that, please.
This is all what they say. And what they say does not measure up to what we have heard. And so I'm not concerned about what they say. They say that he showed a knife. He showed a knife. Showing a knife would allow you to get killed? Did you threaten a police officer? Are you raised up a knife? Let me say this to you. There will be a lot of lies told in this. And that's why we want it out of the hands of the state attorney and out of the hands of this state.
We are here again today, and I'm trying my best to respond to your question. Mr. Suleiman had a right to his day in court. He had a right to answer to whatever happened in Norwalk, and as this family has said, a crime was committed in West Haven. Let's call it as it is. You have questions, everyone has questions, but here's what we know. A 19-year-old individual is no longer with us. We must speak for him because he had no voice. We've been here over and over and over again. We do not want to get into the debate about what they said he had. A man was killed in West Haven, Connecticut. That is the crime. That is why we're calling on the federal government to get involved in this case. Notwithstanding Norwalk, what happened on the highway, what happened in West Haven, Connecticut.
Sir, can you kindly introduce yourself, please?
My name is Reverend Gerald Barber. I'm a pastor of the Church of God in Saints of Christ here in Dwight neighborhood, a member of the Clergy Association.
And an attorney.
Reverend, do we know the race of the officer who fired the shots?
No, we don't. But we can assume the race. We can assume that.
And do we, and I know these are difficult questions, do we know where Mubarak was hit, where the 4 bullets struck him?
No, we don't know. The medical examiner said to his uncle that he was shot a couple of times. Am I correct?
Yeah, he has wounds.
Has wounds. Never said where. Said that it would be on the death certificate.
These are at close range? You had said 4 bullets.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want them to say it wasn't 4, but I'm saying it's 4. It's what we've gathered so far.
And what are your sources? Who are you hearing?
Well, I would not give up our sources because that's very important to us to keep our source like everybody else keep theirs. So we won't be able to do that because we as clergy are bound to keep some things confidential.
And is it safe to assume this is close range?
If they open the car door from the passenger side, it had to be close. Why would you have to shoot him 4 times?
Let me say something also on a national level. again, and our hearts go out to this young man's life that was taken. But on a national level, when we look at policing at large, it's very disturbing to us as a communities of color at the amount of lives that have been taken from police officers engaged with our community, first of all. And what is the disconnect? I mean, again, we hear a lot about there's a threat, they feel threatened. No, there's something more that we're not looking into, and we have to really look into that. We got to go deeper into that. What would make an individual who has the authority and the power to a person who has a knife and I have guns with other officers around me not walk that situation out? Not really work with that situation so that life of that young man could have been spared, especially if they had information. There's something wrong with us not looking deeper into maybe even the history of the officers that are involved in these shootings that have taken, especially people of color's lives. What is that disconnect? We need to really look at that. Are these officers from the military? What makes an individual be able to discharge a weapon so easily and say I'm threatened when they're really, I mean, again, in the court of law, you might be able to prove it according to your training, but I'm talking about the disconnect between another human being and myself. Like he said, he deserved this day in court. What has happened to the police process that looks into these individuals that we're taking on to the force, that we have such a high number right now like we've never had before? My question is, I would like to know, we would like to know, what is the percentage of officers that might have come out of the military that are policing our streets right now? Because it's just too easy for them to just go ahead and discharge that weapon. And when they say that, some of them got murdered, or some of them got killed without even a weapon. So the question is, where is the disconnect? Why would you open up that door and shoot 4 times at an individual that, again, he might have had a knife. You saw a knife. It wasn't a gun. Who has the advantage? We do. The officers have the advantage. So where is that disconnect? We have to really now look into that, because if we don't look into that, you're going to see it again, again, and again, as we have been experiencing. We need to look into the hiring practices, the psychological profiles of these officers, and the history, because something is just too easy for it to happen. It's too easy for it to happen.
Sir, could you kindly just introduce yourself?
My name is Pastor Lewis with Christ Chapel New Testament Church, and I'm a part of the Clergy Association.
Thank you. And you, sir, if you could just introduce yourself.
Yeah, Pastor Donald Morris, Executive Director of the Christian Community Commission and Life Kingdom Outreach Ministry.
Thank you.
And just to the family, and you've already spoken so thoughtfully about Mubarak, but I want to ask, because some people are going to watch this story, and they're going to hear about the incident in Norwalk with the alleged carjacking, and they're going to write this off, and they're not going to listen to the rest of the story. So I want you to talk about your loved one, about, was he a violent person? What, obviously you said he had schizophrenia. Can you just speak to that?
Here's what I want you to look at. I want you to look at a person with a 3.5, graduated from Notre Dame. A person who was in his second year at Gateway. A person who had some mental problems. And having mental problems does not mean that you are a bad person. And so I want you to focus on that. We're not focusing on a carjack, because nobody got hurt in a carjack. A person got killed. And that's the real issue right here. A person got killed. A person not just got killed, a person got murdered. And that's where we are. Wasn't a bad person. Wasn't a person that they did not know about. It was widely known through Norwalk, through West Haven to New Haven. And while state police was chasing him, that they should have been trying to figure out who is this we're chasing. And that didn't happen. And so I want to go back to the fact that I'm asking the governor's office to turn this over to the U.S. attorney, that they may investigate this. And that's where we are. We cannot continue, as John said, we cannot continue to come here every other month for a black man being shot, killed by a police officer, found innocent, and then we ought to just say, okay, he had a mental problem. Okay, he had a knife. By me having a knife, by you finding a knife in the car, not in his hand, that he's a threat. And I guess all of us who stand here today are a threat to those who carry guns.
Only because of our skin color.
And because of what we represent and who we represent. And because of where we're from. Any other questions? Yes.
So it sounds like this is a multi-level issue that you're looking at then to discuss, both the race and mental health. And when you put the two together, it sounds like you're saying it created a volatile situation on their end. Are you asking for them to look at both policing for African Americans and those with mental health issues? Or could you explain a little bit about what it is that you're looking for them to revisit?
Listen,
Because there are communities who
it's
do have-
different. It's different when you stop us. It's always different.
Right.
And the world knows it's different when you pull a black man or a black woman over. It's different than when you pull a white person over. And what happened in this pullover in West Haven was a life taken. Now, we can measure this either way we want. We can say, oh, he had a mental health problem. All of us got some kind of mental health going on with it, including you all out there. We got some mental health going on. Everybody. Some just able to control it better than others. And so I don't want to get involved in the fact of the mental health piece. I want to get involved in the murder piece. And I want to continue to say, how can this state police its own self? Because you do remember that if a local police officer shoots and kills someone, or even shoot, the state comes in and do their investigation. State has shot and killed a black man. And now the state is saying we're going to do our own investigation. We have no faith nor trust that they will do the right thing and bring out the right problems that has taken place. So focus on a man being murdered. That's our focus today. And focus on the fact that we want the state to turn this over and to the U.S. attorney and allow them to do their investigation on 3 departments and then the State Department. Any other question?
Thank you. Was there something that you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah. I was going to answer your question, the question that you asked earlier. Mubarak has no criminal record. You can put that on record. He's not violent. All the episode that he has to deal with his mental issue, that whenever he gets arrested, he's taken to the hospital. The police will call his mom, my sister, and tell her, listen, we've got Mubarak, we took him to the hospital, because they know about his story. He's never been violent to anyone outside the house and at home. So I just want you to get that. He has no criminal record.
Any other questions? Listen, thanks for coming for short notice. We appreciate it. Please, we're in pain with this. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. And so we will be meeting with the commissioner on Monday morning, and we'll send you out a message and hope you join us, and hope that he has some more, something to say. Somebody from the state ought to say something.
Which commissioner is that?
Commissioner of the State Public Safety. Yeah.
Are you going up to Middletown?
Yeah, we go in Middletown. Be there at 8 o'clock. You up that time?
Absolutely.
All right, yeah.
And has
Yeah.
everybody been in touch with, the family from the state police and
So what?
have, any leaders, anybody local been in touch with the family?
Yes, there was a detective that contacted me, and he said they're investigating it, and the state attorney is supposed to contact us to schedule the video for us to review the video before they will release it to the press. So we didn't get that phone call yet.
So they got 96 hours to get that done. But I've shared with them, I do not want them to meet with the state attorney unless they have their own lawyer representation with them. So that's where we are there. All right? Yes.
Just wondering, sorry, because I spell their names.
All right, y'all tell them how to spell your name before you go, and then